Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay, a podcast for queer people and people who enjoy them. My name is Jer, and I will be your podcast host for a short time. I have a very lovely podcast episode for you. But first, I would like to say something. I was recently asked about my opinion on pineapple on pizza. And my kind of general perspective on life is if it's not hurting me or harming me in some way, I don't really give a crap about what somebody else wants to do. I love pineapple. I think pineapple's great. Please eat your pineapple if you are gay and you enjoy oral sex. It's great. It really helps out a lot more than you realize. If you want to slather your fake Italian feast with a fruit that belongs in a little cup with juices, then hey, I am not going to stop you. I love that you love that, which, by the way, is such a cunty response to something. I love that for you. I use it all the time and I can't stop doing it. I don't mean it to come off that way, but it really is when you think about it. It's like, I would never do this, but I love that you do it. Bless your little heart. So I love that for you, and I love that for your journey. I love that for what you're doing. For me, I don't like it. I don't enjoy pineapple on pizza. I don't enjoy fruit that's been warmed really at all. I think something about the way that the sugars caramelize doesn't really sit well with my refined palate that is akin to an 8-year-old. You know, I would gladly eat tater tots and chicken nuggets, pepperoni pizza, mac and cheese, things like that. I would gladly eat those every day of the week. I would very, very graciously sit down and eat probably the most simplistic barbarian meals that a child in first or second grade would eat, because that's just what I enjoy. I love cupcakes. I love regular cakes. I love chocolate. I love a lot of things kind of in that regard. I like sweets. I love sweets. But I don't enjoy fruit that's been warmed, and I feel like that's very weird. Maybe it's not. Maybe I like the sort of refined sugar, this sort of artificial sugar, rather than the natural ones that appear in nature. You know, like in a fruit. Oddly enough, I do love a warm peach. If you give me a warmed up spiced peach, maybe on a cobbler, or even just a warm peach on ice cream. Ooh, that's so good. It's delicious, like a little peach chutney. Delicious. Absolutely delicious and incredible. But you get an apple and it's all warmed up, and it just gets so kind of acrid to me. And I don't know, I think I have a really sensitive taste palate in general, and something about the way that I taste food is very overstimulating in a lot of ways. So I taste all these notes that are in a meal that has been presented to me, and I can pick out all the little parts of it. You know, I could taste some green beans and I can say, did you put fresh garlic in this? Because I can taste it. Did you happen to put rosemary or have rosemary adjacent to these potatoes? Because it's very clear. Oh yeah, I snuck like, I don't know, less than a pinch. I'm surprised you even noticed it. Is usually the response that I get. Most people are very surprised when I pull out notes of something. My mother-in-law cooks a lot, and I'll often be like, did you put this in here? And she'll say, oh yeah, I barely even put anything in it though. And I will notice it because it's just, I get very overstimulated. And I can taste all of that. And I know a lot of people that have that kind of similar issue. So we have food aversion, because you can taste all these layers and notes, and one of those notes is out of sync with the rest of the symphony. And it's this song that's playing when I'm eating. I sort of almost hear the food as I'm eating it in a kind of weird way. I forget what that's called. There's a very specific word for that, but I sort of almost can like hear sounds when I'm eating. I can see colors kind of when I'm smelling things. There's a very sensory overload thing that happens. So with this symphony of music that's happening while I'm eating food, I can hear this note that doesn't sound right within all of it. And that is the caramelized sugar part of certain fruits. It's not all of them. It's like apples, pears. I kind of have that problem with. Berries are fine. Berries are actually very lovely when you get them warmed up, especially like a strawberry. I don't know what that is. Blueberries are nice. I love a banana that has been warmed up, like a banana cream pie. And I feel like all the things that I'm liking, that I'm responding positively to, a banana cream pie, a peach. I feel like these are very homosexual in nature, and I promise that there's no hidden meaning in this. I'm being very genuine when I say that these are the things that I really enjoy. These are the things that I really turn up to, that I love so much if I'm going to eat that. But if I'm going to indulge in a sweet treat, if I'm going to eat a dessert, I'm not going to gravitate towards a fruit pie. I'm going to probably go towards like a chocolate cake. I'm going to go to a cupcake of some kind. I recently had this delicious Oreo cupcake that was so delicious from a grocery store. My mother-in-law had gotten this big assorted box of 8 cupcakes. It was lemon, which I did not get to try. Those got snatched up really fast. There was a chocolate one that had these little chocolate swirl shavings on top, those kind of cylindrical ones where they sort of curve into each other and they're just really tiny, like a little pencil shaving almost of chocolate. And then there was an Oreo one, or I guess it's not Oreo because that's technically copywritten. It was a cookie flavored one, which that's always really funny to me when companies will be like, this is cookies and cream. This is a cookie flavored shake, a cookie flavored muffin, but it's clearly Oreo. It's clearly. And of course, Oreo doesn't have a monopoly on the black cookie with the white cream in the middle. That's not their only export. They're not the only one who's doing that, but they are the biggest named one. And so it's funny when they'll be like, this is not Oreo. This is cookies and cream. Girl, we all know it's an Oreo shake. We all know. Or maybe it's that brand familiarity where instead of calling it a bandage, you call it a Band-Aid, even though it's probably not a Band-Aid. Anyway, if I'm going to go to a dessert, it's going to be one of those. And so I had this really delicious cupcake. I still have half of a chocolate one in the fridge that I'm really excited to eat. But that's what I'm going to go to. I'm going to go towards something sweet. And it's something that I just have always liked ever since I was a kid. My grandma loved things sweet. When she finally got into retirement home age and she was amongst all the other seniors, she would get so grumpy at dinner time because they would try to give her potatoes and sandwiches and toast, which I do love toast. I'll almost never say no to toast, and like different meats and stuff that she didn't really like that much, vegetables, salads, of the sort, stuff that is supposed to keep you healthy. And she would get so grumpy because she didn't want to eat those. She wanted to eat the cookies that they had. She wanted to eat the cake that they had. If they had a shake, she loved a shake. We would get her Oreo and chocolate shakes from Jack in the Box all the time. And that would be our gift when we would go and visit my grandma at the retirement home, as we go and bring her a little shake. My mom at one point was basically demanded that she buy a box of cookies that my grandma could hide in her room away from the knowledge of the caretakers because they didn't really want her to have the sweets and they wanted her to be eating real food. But she would sort of load up on her cookies before she would go to dinner. And so then when they would say, oh, here's the food, she would be like, oh, I'm not that hungry. I don't need to eat. I'm so fine. I've actually eaten already. Well, I didn't eat already, but in spirit I ate. I'm not hungry. Thank you. So she'd take, like a little bite of the mashed potatoes, and then she'd go back to her room and nom on a couple more cookies, and then she'd be okay. That's me. I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay eating cookies all freaking day long. And I think the biggest takeaway from all this is we all have our own preferences. We all have our own ideas of what we want to consume, what we want to be a part of our diet. And I know my mom would get concerned for my grandma because she would be like, "You're not eating enough food. You can't possibly be getting the nutrition that you need on a daily basis by just eating chocolate chip cookies and an Oreo shake. That's not enough. You need to have more than that." And she would always say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. What does it matter if I eat this? Am I hurting anybody? No, I want to eat this for myself." And I think that's true. If I'm not hurting anybody, what does it matter if I want to eat a dessert before? And I think I've mentioned that I have a long-standing order at my in-laws' house that I am allowed to eat the desserts before anybody else. So if the desserts are on the table, I can pick at them before dinner starts, and I never get any flack for it. And I love that for me and my journey and my road, because I don't always want the entree. Sometimes I just want the dessert, the sweet part. That's all I need. And it's enough for me. I get full. I may not be getting the nutrition that I need in that moment, but I take a multivitamin at the end of the day. And I'm going to trust that multivitamin, that little gummy multivitamin, is going to supplement the rest. And if it doesn't, hey, then it doesn't. What's the worst that happens? I need to eat some iron pills or something to get a little more iron in my body or something. But I think just overall, if you're not hurting somebody, if nobody's hurting you, I don't really care what you want to eat. I don't really care what you want to put in your body. I don't care about any of that. Don't judge me for my choices, and I won't judge you for putting a fruit cup on your pizza. I may make a snide comment, and you're allowed to make a little snide comment, Do you want some dinner before dessert? I a little shade here and there. How's that cookie? You think it's going to be better than the burgers that we're making? Little shade here and there is fine. I don't care. I don't mind that, But don't be like, "Oh, you don't like that?" And while I'm on this, I think we really should get away from the idea of saying that something is gross or something is nasty. I've been really working on that, of trying to stay away from using that language, because it's really exclusive to people who eat different than you. "Oh, you eat that? That's so gross that you eat that. I can't believe that you would do that." That would make you feel awful if you heard that to you. You wouldn't want to hear somebody telling you that the food that's a part of your culture or a part of your daily diet is gross or nasty, because that makes you feel like something is wrong with you. In the same way of saying, "Oh, you're going to eat that right now?" Don't judge me for my food choices. Don't judge me that I want to eat dessert first or that I want to eat this or that. Let me eat the food that I want. It's my body. I'm not hurting you. The 3 F's, if someone's not feeding, fucking, or financing you, who cares what they have to say? But I'm really trying to get away from that's gross narrative and just sort of saying, I don't know if that's for me. I don't particularly care for that. It doesn't taste good to me. My taste buds and my palate are not accustomed to that, and I don't enjoy it. I find myself getting very careful with words as I get older, to try not to offend people and to try and keep the peace as much as possible. And maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe I don't need to worry so much, and I can just let my target audience be who it is. People that don't like X, Y, and Z. People that love Jack in the Box and love eating butt and don't like pineapple on pizza. Maybe that's the audience that I should be catering to, and not being so careful about the words that I use. But I can't help myself, because I don't want anyone to feel alienated by me. I'm a very people-pleasing type of a person. So when this person the other day asked me, do you like pineapple on pizza? I was so careful to not be like, ew, that's disgusting. How could you put a fruit cup on your pizza? That's wrong. That is against Jesus. That is satanic. It took everything in me to not, use those words. Maybe not the Jesus part, but, not use words that would make them feel like I was judging them for their food choice, but more putting it on me. And I don't like this. I don't want it. I don't think it's for me. And I don't think it's in my future, but thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving that to me. I will not be partaking. I will be moving on and doing what I'm doing. Thank you so much. And I think that is maybe a good way of living life. Maybe we can just become a more healthy and tolerable society if we all just decided to stay in our lane and talk about what's affecting us in that moment and not really policing other people's behaviors. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. Are you ready for the episode? Let's jump in. Oh, go ahead. I was going to do the intro. Do it. What were you saying?
I'm going to shut up.
No, say what you wanted to say.
Get it.
Say it.
Say what you want to say.
No.
Let the words fall out. Now you have to say it.
Honestly, I want to see you be slay.
Oh.
I'm leaving.
Not the O. Eric used to say that. Eric used to come into chat in the early days and he would say, slay what you want to slay.
It's just because we said different words. I was like off on the lyrics.
I changed them. I improv them at the last second. That was my fault. Grin, you have to say it now. We're waiting.
I don't remember, to be honest. It's gone forever because I was just like, oh, I have just fully done the thing I feared most. I stepped on Jer. I mean, it's not very difficult to do, to be fair.
I'm very small and tiny.
It's so easy to overshadow you. But
yeah, you're very tall.
I am, in fact. I'm 6'2".
I'm just teeny tiny. I've never heard Grin rar ever. I'm gonna have to tell everybody about this.
Oh no! Please tell me
Rar
the
is
party's
I
not
love
going.
you in Dinosaur.
It is.
I'm gonna steal that forever now. Thank you.
If you were on MySpace in 2007, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Then you'd know.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
I
MySpace.
refuse to date myself like that. Yes. I am old enough to adopt any of you.
Are you?
Yeah, in fact.
I did not know that, but I love that.
Yeah. Hello, hello. My probation officer and lawyer have both advised me to keep my mouth shut.
Anything you say can and will be used against you.
And not just in the court of law. Court of public opinion. I'm going to be put in the queer royal court.
Only
Jared's
Judy
going to be
can judge me.
Crying on the floor. Like, Your Honor, Your Majesty, RuPaul, this goblin has stained my reputation. And I'm just going to be there being like, I can't deal with this. I'm tired.
I can't take the pressure.
I want to go home. Clump, 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 clump. That's one of the most iconic moments in television, in my opinion, in reality TV. That girl walking off top model and just not doing it. Iconic.
I love that so much for her.
Yeah.
You always have the choice of just not doing it.
Right. You always do.
Yeah.
The I don't want to do it anymore button.
And that's fully fair.
Yeah. And you should. Speaking of iconicism, we are on season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the intro for this season is everything. Do you remember the little intro that they did? Because it was going up to counting up to 100 episodes, and it starts out and it's like, just plug it in and blow.
Yeah, absolute chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. They did an amazing job with it. I really, really loved the overall like celebration of the series with
Mm,
the intro of this episode.
yeah,
Really showcasing like this is how far we've come. We've made it.
yeah,
Ah, they're on their 8th season. Like when nobody thought they would make it past the first.
yeah. I mean,
And
watching that first Vaseline film season, would you think that they would have gotten to 8?
I know, right? And with like multiple spin-off shows and international seasons, like they've at this point they had done all of that.
Mm,
And
I think
I
at
think
8 they were talking about doing international seasons, and they were, I think, speaking about doing UK, but I don't think UK had happened yet.
I have the chronological order in front of me only because I was looking at it
Really?
earlier. They did Drag Race in Chile after season 7.
Oh, that's right. They hardly advertised that
Oh, fully.
here.
But it doesn't even have English captions, which is fine, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to watch it
Mm,
because I don't understand it. But it looks sickening and fierce, and I would love to be able to watch it someday.
yeah, I think what was the season that Pangina was in? What was the one that she was judging?
Ooh.
Because I think that
I
one
don't
came
remember.
pretty soon too. I think that was almost right after 8.
Right
Was it
after
Drag Race
8 was Drag
Thailand?
Race Thailand
It was
season 1. Yeah.
Thailand.
Well, that was
Yes.
actually after season 9.
Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thailand was a huge deal, and people still say, and I've only gotten to see a little bit of it, people say that was one of the best international seasons that's ever happened.
I've heard that, and I would love to watch that season as well.
There's one moment, there's two great moments, and I'm going to segue really quick. There's one where the girls are getting eliminated, or they're getting told who's going to be lip syncing, and one of the girls has those light up glowy princess sticks that sing when you press the buttons.
I love those.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
like holding one of those, and Pangina's like, and the girl who will be lip syncing tonight, so and so, you did great job. And then all of a sudden it starts, she accidentally presses it while she's clutching it, and it starts going, dun
No.
dun 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 dun, the Let It Go theme. Everybody stops and starts cackling, and she's like trying to get the thing to stop, and she's like hitting it, and is like, no, be quiet. And everybody just loses it as this girl is potentially being told she's gonna lip sync, and Let It Go is freaking playing in a little music box. And then
That is pure
it's
television.
so good. And there's another episode where the girl gets eliminated and she comes back, and before, like, she does her walk off and she comes back and says, I just need to say something because this is really unfair. So and so, who won the challenge, made her thing back at her hotel. She brought it there, which we're not supposed to do. And Pangina is like, why the hell are you telling us right now? Why didn't you tell us this at the beginning of the challenge? And she says, oh, I didn't want to cause drama. I didn't want to stir the pot. And Pangina says, but you're stirring the pot right now. You just got eliminated, and now you decide to bring this up? It seems calculated. So she leaves, and the girl goes off, and it implies that a time cut has happened, that they were all discussing what to do, because they call her back out, and she's almost completely out of drag at this point. So it had to have been at least 10 minutes that she's suddenly back, and she explains the whole thing, and they eliminate the girl who cheated and broke the competition. And I don't know what happens to the eliminated girl, but they eliminate her. They're like, sorry, you're disqualified. You gotta go. You weren't
I
supposed to
love
do that.
this. I love
Yeah.
Wow.
this. I have to
It's
go watch this.
I need to find the full season because apparently it's just gag the whole time. And I think that's the season where someone lit themselves on fire.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's pretty lit.
there's a runway that somebody comes out and she burns her outfit off, and there's another dress underneath it.
Oh
If I'm
my
not
God.
mistaken. And that season is like, from what I've been told, is the season. Or there's 2 Thailand seasons, but
Yes, there is. I need
yeah.
incredible.
only season 2 is on WoW Presents.
Mm,
But I think you can find season 1 probably on YouTube somewhere.
probably it's gotta be.
Yeah.
But
Who watches Drag Race on YouTube?
I
I
don't
don't.
know. I wonder
I
who.
don't know. Untucked isn't on there. Who would have like spent hours trying to hunt that down?
But segueing back, and I just needed to share that because it's such an iconic moment that I've seen. We are in season 8. We're at 100 episodes as of episode 1. And the queens this season in order of elimination are Layla McQueen, Dax exclamation point, Cynthia Fontaine, Nesha Lopez, Acid Betty, or as we affectionately call her, Acai Berry, Robbie Turner, Thorgy Thor, Derek Barry, one of the best television people that's ever been on the show, Chi Chi DeVane, may she rest in peace, Naomi Smalls, Kim Chi, and the winner, spoiler alert, Bob the Drag Queen. Do we have a favorite, as always, from this cast?
I don't have a favorite because they're all my favorite.
Yeah.
I even our classic villain of the season, she turned out the looks. Like I couldn't even hate her, you know? She was
Derek.
they were all, yeah, Derek and Acid.
Oh, that's
Betty.
right. Betty was
They
so
were
good.
she had amazing looks. Like even when she was being a bitch, like you just couldn't hate her because she's a great queen.
Yeah.
For me, it was Kim Chi, who I just adored start to finish.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, I'm on the All Stars where they did like a tribute to Chi Chi DeVane, and just I did not realize, and I wept really hard because that's
Yeah.
a lot of positive energy to be taken out of
I
the
know.
world, and I would like to speak to management because screw that.
Yeah, I agree. Chi-Chi was my ultimate favorite queen of the season. I think because of that, like she did just bring so much love and light to this world. Always positive, no matter what anyone was saying to her, to someone else, like anything, she always was just smiling. And like that's hard to see in such a high stress environment. That's hard. I mean, that's hard to find in a high stress environment.
Right.
Very much that.
I want to share really quick my own experience with her because I met her at, I think it was the very first or it was the second drag con because I was in drag. And I was still kind of learning and I was figuring out my face. I was figuring out my outfits. And we happened to go take a little break outside because we were tired. And she was out there and she just went to go smoke. And I was looking at her and I was like, I really want to go say hi to her, but I don't want to bother her because she's just smoking. And Jake was like, just go say hi really quick. So I went over and I was like, hi, I'm so sorry to bother you. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know that it's a high stress environment. And she kind of kikied with me and she was like, yeah, it's been crazy. It's so cool though. She's like, I love getting to meet so many people. And I said, I really am very inspired by you on the show because I'm still a new queen and I'm trying to figure out my looks and I feel very unrespected in my group of people that I'm performing with because I'm a budget queen and I have to kind of make do. And she really encouraged me and shared some really lovely things that I'll kind of always hold on to and was just the sweetest, nicest person. And I was just going to let her be. And she said, do you want to take a picture? And we did. And she just like was so cool. And I had a great experience with her, more than I have with any other queen. And so when she passed, it was very hard for me because I'm like, that was someone who really made me feel like I could keep going in that industry.
That was someone who made a difference.
Yeah.
She really did.
She did.
She is a beautiful person.
Mm-hmm.
And something I saw from that I thought was beautiful on Chi-Chi's Instagram is that Kimchi still comments on her posts. And it makes I'm gonna cry just talking about it, but like her most recent comment was a few months ago and she was like, oh, I finally tried turkey neck and it was delicious. And I was like, oh my
I
god,
saw that
like
on Twitter. It made me
Chi-Chi
so
would have been so happy, you know?
Yeah. It's like her resting place that people can go back to and pay homage to, which I love.
I did not sign up to cry on this podcast. I'm here due to community service and nothing else. I have no emotional investment in this. I don't even know you people. Who are you? Why are you here?
It's Patrick with The Rock looking at all those people. Who are you people?
Yes, exactly.
It's Grin with us right now.
Yeah.
Menacingly.
Menacingly.
But yeah, I agree. I think Chi-Chi's one of my favorites. I love Thorgy.
I
Icon.
struggle with
Really?
Thorgy. I think
Really?
Thorgy is talented
Mm.
and really brings it, but just sometimes says things or does things, and I'm just like, it's a struggle to cheer you on. I'm trying. I promise I'm trying.
God, I love Thorgy Thor. I think what Thorgy did is what Pearl did on a different level. Pearl was
I can see that.
very aware of the cameras and fought it and didn't like that production was doing things. Thorgy saw it and didn't know what to do with it and was just weird about it.
Maybe. I think that's a good way of looking at it, actually.
Yeah, and then I think she started doing a more Pearl thing in All Stars, which we'll eventually get to. But I don't think she knew what to do about it. Because it almost seems half the time Thorgy's talking around feeling like production is out to get her, where Pearl was directly saying it and was not being coy about it. Thorgy was very much like, I am doing this thing and I feel like production is doing something
Yeah.
towards me, but I can't quite pin what it is, but I'm not allowed to talk about its production. So I'm going to say that it's Bob who's the problem because they like Bob better than they like me. And it's clear they want Bob to win, but I can't exactly say that, so I'm going to say this instead.
I actually
You know what I
didn't like how Thorgy picked on Bob so much.
Yeah.
And fully I understand like the production side of where you would get that sort of disdain from, but and obviously there's a lot of editing done to make Thorgy look bad, I think.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't know. Just some of the things that she says just like it made it difficult to cheer her on, but
That's fair.
That is also probably not her fault. It's a lot of edit.
Yeah, and they're really
Yeah.
great friends. They're really great friends. And the thing with the show is that they're specifically told, like, do not acknowledge production or things you're seeing. So even if they feel like you're favoring somebody, they can't say that, and they'll get that edited out and they'll get sort of slapped on the wrist for it. So I felt like, especially post watching it again, it really did feel like she saw you like Bob and you want Bob to win, but I can't say that to the folks at home. So I have to make it seem like I'm mad at Bob, but I'm not mad at Bob. I'm mad at production for liking Bob and not liking everybody else equally. That's how it comes off to me.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that
I
is
do
such
like
an
that.
interesting take because I never even thought of it that way. But
Mm.
it does make so much sense because Thorgy and Bob seemed to be very cordial and got along really well when
They
they
love each
were
other.
interacting in front of the cameras. And even after Drag Race, they are really good friends and they still
Mhm.
do a lot together. And they have great chemistry.
Mhm.
So to see like Thorgy kind of like flip on Bob, it was a little confusing while also watching her be so friendly with Bob at the same time,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, fully. I don't remember which season it was, but there is one in particular that one of the girls was saying, and maybe I'll remember when we eventually get to it, but one of the girls' posts was saying at a viewing party that she brought up that she didn't like that someone was getting favored, and production stopped her and said, don't talk about the show. You should not talk about this. Go back to what we were saying, and then rerouted the question.
I hate that.
I know. And so I'm here to bring up production. That's my job here. So yeah, I don't know. That's how it always came across. Like, she was mad at them, not Bob. And I think Bob understood that it was never personal about her. It was about the show.
Yeah, that
glad for
definitely
that,
makes
at
a lot of
least.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for Derek, it was personal.
Derek is television.
Some of the best
Like,
TV we've had.
so good. So good.
Next to Chanel, I think.
I was just gonna say that.
Yes!
I was just gonna say that.
Could you imagine like a TV season where it was like Chanel and Tatiana, Morgan, Shangela, Willem, Jasmine Masters, Derek Barry, who could you pull from Six? Laganja. Just these like big ass personalities. Could you imagine a season like that?
I don't know. I think we'd all turn out to like hate every single one of them because they'd just be so
would be
loud the whole
tired.
time.
I'd
Yeah,
be
they'd just be
exhausted.
It would be on a level 11 the entire time.
Oh,
There's
and
no
Vanjie.
editing that out.
Throw
Oh, Vanjie. Oh
throw
my god.
Vanjie and Alexis
Oh
in there
my
too.
Yes.
God, that'd be a fantastic season.
The whole building would
Incredible.
just like catch fire.
Oh, fully.
Collapses fully.
And throw Kennedy in there too, just because.
Just for funsies.
Yeah. God, that'd be a
Just
beautiful season, I think. But yeah, Derek was great TV, and I noticed, and maybe you can both comment on this too if you noticed it too. This season, Derek really latches on to the judges' critiques, and the fans really latched on to what Derek was saying about the judges' critiques. And this is the last season where I really noticed where Michelle in particular used coded words like ratchet to describe a queen's drag.
I hadn't noticed that it stopped, but that's very fascinating.
Maybe when I watch over some of the other seasons, I'll remember, but I don't think they ever described any of the other girls specifically this word. And they'll sort of describe a lot of the POC queens as being busted or ratchet or whatever, sort of demeaning their art
Yeah.
in a way that comes off racist. Because, I
Fully.
mean, even if it's not meant that way, it comes off that way, and that's how it's perceived because of the language. Because you don't tell a white girl that she looks ratchet. You tell
Exactly.
Michelle, you randomly happen to say that towards the black contestant. That seems a little odd. This is like one of the last seasons where they really use that word to describe a POC queen, but Derek latches onto that, and the fans did too, and Bob got it left and right off the show.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
And also, it's important to note it's not your intention; it's the impact you have with what you say. and what you
Exactly.
do.
Right.
That's why even if your intention wasn't to do that, you still apologize for it when you're corrected.
Yeah. And I can't remember if that happened, but yeah, that happened so much this season. Which was gross.
It's hard to hear because especially when we get into like a future season where we have a top 4 that is 3 black queens, they those queens talk a lot about how there's a very predominantly white Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
and to have words that have such like, I'll just say it, they have racist connotation, and when
do.
you say it and you're not, even if you're not meaning it that way and you're only saying it to queens of color, we
Mm-hmm.
know where that's coming from.
Exactly.
And so I do appreciate that this is where it stopped,
Yeah.
but I feel heartbroken for the queens that had to hear it in the past.
And these words
Very
stick
much so.
around because people got the bad end of the stick for many seasons to come, and the show's never really spoken out against it. They've never really.
Right.
I think way later in a later season, they say, our fans have said some things and we don't like that, so stop. And then that's it. And they say it like at a reunion or something, but it comes off so half-assed. But yeah, it's interesting because since you bring it up, season 1 we have BB, season 2 we have Tyra, and then Raja, and then it's Sharon, Chad, Alaska, Jinx, Bianca, who is a queen of color, and then Violet. And it's like all of these, there are 5 white girls to 3 POC, 4 POC, and it's like,
And then,
ugh.
yeah, and then we also have Chad, right, from
Right,
season
right.
1
And then
of
Alaska
All-Stars. Oh yeah.
wins, so it's
Yeah,
like she
yeah.
comes next, but there's all of these white people in the Hall of Fame, and there were a lot of POC along the way that did really great job, so
Definitely.
it's interesting, but that this is the season where that kind of stops, and I'm glad that it does. And I think this being the 100th episode is pretty cool too. That opening challenge, what did y'all think about having those winners come back?
Oh, I loved it so much.
Yes, I loved it. It really showed like there is like this star quality about these winners that have come before us, to the point where they could just like sit there in a photo shoot and just stand so still and be so iconic.
Right.
Fully agree. However,
And-
it did lead me to judging all the queens very harshly from episode 1.
Yeah. Oh, fully. You're
Yes,
comparing them to the
yeah.
winners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that
And
was unfair.
It was
Sorry.
a little
yeah,
bit.
because
Go ahead.
at that point, these winners have had anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 to up their drag game.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's been talked about from previous winners that like without that money, like we can't do much.
Mm-hmm.
And
Fully.
you know, these contestants that are coming on for the first time, they're doing their best, and I think so many of them stood so like strongly next to all of the winners.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Grin said, you are judging them very, very harshly, and it's not a fair comparison whatsoever.
Very much that, because like I vaguely remember Bob the drag queen's photo shoot, and I remember being so unimpressed. Versus like Derek Barry, I was like, oh yeah, star quality, and then eventually, as the episodes went on, it's like, please stop, Derek.
Gigi and
I
Naomi were incredible in that photo
I
shoot.
yes, I was gonna say I was so impressed
Yeah,
with Naomi's photo of that episode.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I think Bob walked in and was like, I'm just gonna have
She
fun with this.
Yeah, she did like a peace sign or something.
She like sat there and did that like photo where she just sat there blank faced and just
Oh
stared at the
yes.
camera, right?
Yes.
I also love that she had unt on her bodysuit and then put the C on it. Can I be honest and vulnerable here as a stupid moron or resident idiot?
Please.
Nothing
Please
has
do.
stopped you before.
I didn't know that charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent spelled cunt
What?
until I saw Bob with the unt on it and then did the C with his hand. And I was like, oh my God, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. It spells cunt. Oh my God.
My jaw is on the floor.
I know. Because my first season was 7. And then I went back and I watched season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then when 8 dropped, I was watching it when it was live. And I did not realize until that moment. And I remember turning to Jake and being like, it spells cunt. And Jake was like, yeah, did you not know that? And I said, no, I had no idea.
I feel like if I was watching with captions this whole time, that probably would have clicked so much sooner, but that is amazing. That is fully amazing.
Like, that's an achievement all in its own, Jared. Congratulations. But it is part of your brand to be like that, so...
My brand is stupid.
Clueless.
Clueless.
Sure, let's go with that.
Please.
Doing great, sweetie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, this first challenge, I love that they did all the old ball looks.
Oh, I fully did too.
God, those were so good. Did you have... I want to talk about this one in particular because it's so interesting. Was there a standout from this particular one, either good or bad, in your opinion?
That's a good question.
I personally think that Layla doing the RuPaulcalypse, Layla killed that challenge. And Layla should not have been in the bottom.
I fully agree.
She made a jacket!
Was this the episode where Naomi Smalls came out with the bow?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, it took me a second to remember, but yes. This was a great runway because, I mean, it's the 100th episode, 100 queens. We're really celebrating the history of RuPaul's Drag Race as a TV show now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all of our winners, and we also have homage to all of our past runways. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought they did great for, what the constraints of the challenge was.
Oh, fully. And also, there's a disadvantage on some of them. Like, if you had to do... Was it Nisha who had to do the...
Drag on a Dime.
One? Drag on a Dime, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was kind of just like the end of the stick, like bottom of the barrel. Like, here you go.
That one was a little bit tough, and I think Bitch Ball was too. Because what are you supposed to do with dog toys? How do you make an outfit with that?
Yeah.
I'm on the wiki right now so that I can keep up and
Yeah, I'm
remember.
looking at it too.
And it's so funny looking at these design challenges because I'm reminded how intense of a season 3 was. Because there are 4 season 3 design challenges that made this. And I think all the other design challenges from every other season got featured. I don't think anything got skipped out other than maybe like a couple little random ones. But there's Make That Money, Queen Who Mopped Christmas, the Hair Extravaganza, and Face of Cakes. 4!
The Queen Who Mopped Christmas, is that when Derek Barry did the The skirt.
The tree skirt bush thing. That was so weird. I hated that. I really hated it.
That was a moment.
A lot of people kind of flubbed this challenge because Cynthia, it was a body suit on it. It was corset and a piece of fabric.
It's, we know how Michelle loves bodysuits. Corsets, so.
Especially when you do it
There's
week
no
after
winning
week.
there. Yeah.
What Betty and Kim did were so good. They were incredible. And I really liked Bob's dress too. And she was the first one to have something that she did all season long. We had Dita that did the cheesecake, and that was pretty iconic. Up until then, we didn't really have anybody that was doing something consistently each week. And when Bob made that purse and walked out with that purse every week, that was a cultural reset.
Yeah, it really added to like the culture that is not just drag, but like just queer culture and like meme culture.
Yes.
It gets used so much. Isn't there like a Coach purse challenge somewhere in the future even?
Oh, yeah. In 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they even say like, remember, purse first.
Yes, purse first. Walk out of the room, purse
that.
first. She has a song called Purse First, and it's very fun. But yeah, this is, I think, like a really fun season with so many great queens. It's the smallest one in a long time. It's so tiny.
Yeah, I mean, they had to kind of mess around with the numbers a little bit just to have the perfect 100 queens for 100 episodes, but I didn't mind having, a somewhat smaller cast in order to have this big celebration. I thought it was a fun trade-off.
Yeah.
How many queens are there?
I think 12.
12? But there were only 10 episodes.
Oh.
It's a small season.
We do have a double elimination at some point, right?
We do. Second episode. I was just going to ask what y'all's thoughts about that were.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I love Dax and Layla both. I was.
Is that the one where they did really bad? And
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
At first, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Oh no, I'm getting flashbacks.
I loved them both, but I totally understood
Yeah.
why. Because I remember watching it. Yeah, I was like, who is Rue going to save? Because like neither of them killed it, And then when she said like you're both going home, I was like, oh, okay, that is fully up my fantasy.
Yeah.
That was it. Okay, it wasn't shocking, but it was also just sort of like it's setting the tone of like you can't just be the not worst.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to really do it, or Mama's sending you home.
Right. You have to do the thing all the time. You got to be giving it 100% every week. And I remember one of the girls was saying that they knew that it was going to be a double because Rue leaves after each elimination. And they made a big deal about that in season 1 where Rue was like, after the Angina and BB one, she said, I have to step away. But Rue did that, I think, from season 2 forward. Rue left after every elimination. And she goes back, and I think we've talked about this. She watches the footage. She thinks about it. She talks about it with production, decides what to do. And it's about half an hour that they're standing there. And that's why sometimes the girls who will like throw their wig off or mess up their makeup, they'll suddenly look good again because they'll do little touch-ups in that time. Rue was gone for like over an hour. And they were just twiddling their thumbs, standing there waiting for Rue to come back. So they knew that they were both going to go home because it was like, why else would Rue be gone for so long? But when they did the phone bit, they had no idea who they were going to bring back. They didn't even think that Naysha was on the table. They thought that they were going to pull back like someone who got eliminated the season before.
Is this when Rue had the really like fancy phone and it's just like everyone was just like awkwardly watching this?
Wasn't that the one where she was like, Michelle? Yeah, she was like, Michelle, can I borrow your phone? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I know where I'm at. All right.
Yeah, they thought they were going to bring back somebody from 7. Some of the girls thought maybe they'd call Shangela. Like, they had no idea who they were going to bring back. I was waiting for Shangela.
I was fully waiting for Shangela. I was also waiting for someone from season 7. I was never expecting Naysha, our first Queen Gone, to come back, but I'm glad that she did. I really am.
And a little bit of Drag Race history tea here is that Naisha didn't know either. She was home. She went to her, because the girls aren't allowed to do anything when they get eliminated. They can't work. They're not allowed to do anything other than stay in hiding so that nobody knows that they're back. And
I hate that.
I know, right? They're not allowed to do anything until everybody is back, and then they can all start working again. So Naisha was at home with her mom, her biological mom, eating ice cream and watching reality shows on TV in the middle of the night. And she got a phone call from production, and they were like, "Hi, do you want to come back to LA?" And she goes, "What the heck happened?" "Sure." And went back. Normally, they know that they're going to bring someone back, and so they'll leave them at the hotel. And they'll be like, "Stay here. Don't go anywhere. Get room service. We'll call you in a week."
I was gonna say, I wonder what happens to like all of these episodes where like every single queen comes back. I've always wondered how they do that. Like, do they send them home? Do they just put them in a hotel for like X amount of weeks until they have that episode? Like,
I think in
It is-
7, they moved them to another wing of the hotel so
That
that the
would
girls
make
didn't know
sense.
that they were there.
yeah.
Interesting.
Because they didn't want them to find out. So they kept them in another
Yeah.
area. Because a lot of those girls were next to each other. So they'd like pass notes underneath the doors, or they'd like knock and ask production to send stuff to other rooms. They didn't want them to know that they were there. So they moved them to another wing. But I think with like girls like Naisha, I think she went all the way home. And I think Kenya, when she went home in 4, I think Kenya fully went home because Willem said when she was leaving the show, she saw Kenya at the airport when she was like leaving and getting off to go back on her flight. She and Kenya passed each other, and she looked at her and was like, "Oh, this bitch is going back? Okay."
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Actually, that they like met up at the airport.
They just like happened to see each other. And so
Yeah.
production was like, "Go, don't look at her. Go the other way. Keep walking." And like tried to get her to not notice. She's like, "I already saw the girl. I'm not bothered. Do whatever you're doing." But yeah, with Naisha, she was fully at home, had no idea. So I'm glad she got to come back. That double elimination was wild. But Naisha did unfortunately follow the eliminated, or returned and eliminated soon after. She followed the Trixie format. Because didn't Trixie only last one episode?
I
remember,
think
to
so.
be honest.
Trixie, I believe, lasted the longest out of any returning queen, but it was still pretty soon after she came back.
Yeah, I guess technically she did get to compete in the conjoined episode. And Naisha got to compete. So I guess her and Trixie are tied.
Yeah, because didn't Nisha go back like the episode after?
Yeah, Naisha
the
did
episode
the
after she was
Ruko.
brought back.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, she did Ruko, and that was the episode she did, and then she went home the very next one, where Trixie did 3 challenges. She got to do the one she came back on, which was conjoined, and then the John Waters, and then went home the dancing one. So you're right, Trixie was the longest lasting.
Huh, that's a very nice tidbit.
Yeah. Did we have a favorite challenge from this season? I know there weren't a lot of them.
I guess I did really like the past winner photo shoot a lot, but it was in the moment when I was like, "This is amazing," and then judging all the queens unfairly, and then looking back, it's like, "Oh, that's kind of cringe." I would say then the book ball. I think.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
I really liked it.
The book ball was fun. I really loved the makeover challenge. I thought that was a lot of fun too. I love all the makeover challenges that they do.
Yeah.
And of course, Snatch Game. Like, iconic as always. I will just say it every single episode that we do. It's Snatch Game.
I mean, that's very valid.
I felt like...
This was... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I've been talking so much.
I was gonna say this is the first time we had someone do 2
Yes.
characters for Snatch Game.
Yeah. And it was...
I'm
They were
trying to
both great
think.
characters.
They were both
Uzo Adubo.
really good.
Uzo Aduba.
Aduba?
That was
I
Bob,
think?
Aduba.
wasn't it?
Yeah, and Carol
Yes.
Channing. They were both really fun. I did feel like this was the episode where I realized that they did not like Thorgy and that they didn't want Thorgy to do well. Because remember on the runway, they're like, "Thorgy Thor, you were perfect. You did a great job. Your Michael Jackson made us hee hee. And you were so funny. And your runway was beautiful. Bob, you did 2 characters and you made us laugh. Bob, you're the winner. And it was like, wait, didn't you just gas up Thorgy for like a minute and a half? And I think they did that a couple times. It was during the Ruka one as well they did that, where they kept gassing her up. But I don't know. I love Bob. I'm not shitting on Bob at all because I think she's great. I think this was the episode where it became very clear. Oh, you don't like her. You don't like her at all.
I hate that.
Yeah.
That was
it
just my
became
opinion.
apparent.
Yeah. But that was the
Yeah,
episode we had
also-
Kimono Gate.
Oh,
Wait,
right.
Can we talk?
it?
Should we talk about that?
Yes.
I was
Yes.
laughing so hard.
Naisha and I think somebody else, was it Cynthia maybe? Naisha and Cynthia both also had kimonos as well that they were going to wear for that episode.
Don't they? I mean, don't they have like backup looks? Like,
Right?
why did they
You would-
all like
you would
there was like 5 out of like 8 of them
Yeah.
that wanted to wear kimono.
That did.
Yeah. Well, I think 3 actually came out, and then there was like more that had one.
Yeah,
Or
someone else
like
had
they
one
decided
too.
they just decided not to wear it because they saw how many kimonos were already there, and I was like, wow, thank God you had a backup.
Yeah, I think Robbie had a kimono that she swapped out of.
Mhm.
And I think Chi-Chi had a kimono as well that she put away.
That's amazing. On
So,
so many
it could have been
levels.
just an entire kimono runway.
I would have enjoyed that. Like Madonna kimono, let's go.
Yeah, kimono she better do.
I would say though,
The
I think
silence.
it's part. I'm just trying to think. Like, I think it's part of how they're given information about the challenges,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not like they're in the workroom to brainstorm. It's like they've brought a limited number of things.
Yeah.
And this applies to like Snatch Game too, where people are like, "Well, why didn't you have a backup?" It's like because I spent 6 months on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's as funny as it is also just like a reflection of how production offers information. Like production could
right.
have said, look at all these Madonna classics and rank them how you like them,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe even
Yeah.
assigned them.
Yeah.
That would be a lot better, and it would have saved this whole debacle.
Yeah.
And they even reference this episode in future seasons, like,
They
we
do.
don't want another kimono on the runway.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
There
was that
was.
9 when they did the?
I think it was the next season.
It was
yeah.
the very next season. Yeah, I think it was Snatch Game. No. 9's.
They redo the Madonna challenge.
That's
And they
right.
just say no kimonos, basically.
Yeah. I forget. I think it was Snatch Game. I feel like it was. Because in the Madonna challenge that they do in 12, they have them do a Michelle runway, which is really fun.
I loved that.
Speaking of runways, did we have a favorite this season? And again, they were not a lot. The challenges were, or the runway assignments were pretty low key, I think, compared to last season.
They really were, weren't they? They weren't like
Yeah.
obviously they had themes and such, but like they felt really like just meh.
Best Forever 21 dress.
I loved Kimchi and Naomi Small's looks. I loved Orgy's looks. I loved anything that Acid Betty did.
Yeah.
Those were like my top look queens for
Yeah.
sure. Where I was always just like excited to see what they were gonna conceptualize this week.
Oh, I was fully on board, just like excited for Kimchi and whatever she was going to do.
Yes.
She was so different than anyone we had seen on the show up to this point. And I
Mhm.
think that was a huge part of the appeal towards her is like she's an anime queen and we've never had one of those on the show before.
Right.
And just adored it, just ate that up.
And she was
I
so
loved
funny.
her. Yeah, she was so good. Donut, come for me, she said.
And this is one of those seasons where we had 2 color runways, which was odd. We haven't had this before. The neon and the black and white, which the black and white one was my
Oh.
favorite.
Sickening.
God,
Absolutely sickening.
Kim's crying mime look that she did.
I
love
was
Bob's
so impressed by
clown. That black and white
Yes.
clown from Bob, I think about all the time. That's, I think, the most glamorous that Bob has ever looked ever,
Yeah.
in my opinion. That was a great look.
It
I
really
still
was,
think
and
about
it just shows you how much meaning you can bring to something
Mm-hmm.
with just certain
Yeah.
details.
Yeah. Incredible look.
Very much so.
And I don't think Bob was a fashion girl. I think every week it
No.
was like, okay, Bob's coming out and doing a silly little runway. But that one, I was like, ma'am, please, you can't take my breath away like this.
Fully love that.
Did we have a favorite lip sync this season?
Mine was I think I had two.
Mm.
Robbie Turner in her roller skates.
Oh my
I don't even
god.
remember what the
That
song
was so
was, but
great.
it was just it was too good. Like a full performance in rollerblades. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And then ultimately, I would say like one of my favorites of the entire franchise,
Mm.
Thorgy Thor versus Chi Chi.
Yes. And
It
I'm
made me
telling
so
you.
emotional.
Oh, so
I
good.
was actually just watching it in the car with my parents today, and I started crying watching it today. Like, it still brings tears to my eyes. It's such a good one.
The jewelry that broke that belonged to Chi Chi's mom, her
Oh,
not her biological mom, her drag mom.
yeah.
And when it broke, she was like, ah, fuck. I mean, I gotta just roll with it until the episode's over. But when the lip sync ended, her and Thorgy, because Thorgy was helping her, which I thought was very sweet. They collected up every single bead and like put it in a bag
Oh,
because she was like, I have to fix this. I can't leave this busted.
Oh,
So she like fixed it up and brought it back to her drag mom. But yeah.
that's so
It was
sweet.
that was a great lip sync. Call Me was fun too. It was Chi
wait,
Chi
was
and Naisha.
Chi Chi really turned it out for the lip syncs. I'm
Yes.
not gonna lie.
Yeah. God,
I'm
it
not sure
was
if I
so
have a
good.
favorite one, but I do remember when was it the episode? I think yeah, Derek went home against Bob, and it was I'm trying to remember what the song was.
Oh,
It was
hmm.
the book ball episode.
Oh,
Um,
I
God, what
can
You
song
Make
was
find
Me
it
that?
for
You
Feel
make
you.
me
Mighty
feel.
Real.
Yes.
Oh,
I couldn't
yes.
remember it, but yeah, that was. I mean, at that point, I was really annoyed by Derek and everything, but I did really turn out for just that.
Have you watched Untucked for that season?
No, I have not.
Derek Barry says one of the most iconic things that's ever been said on the show when she's talking about her Wizards of Drag look. And she says, I hemmed this whole thing. Everywhere you look, there's a hem. And it was Hemgate, and everybody
That's
still
a
references that.
meme. Yes, because I do know that scene, but it's not because I watched it. It's because that's a meme.
Yeah, a lot of the girls, when they come in and they're just wearing a piece of fabric around them, which I think that's this season, right? When Michelle says it's a piece of fabric, right? Is
I
that,
I
Maybe?
think she says that to Derek,
yeah, I think so.
or maybe it is in a future season. I mean, she could have said it multiple times
D-
to multiple people.
I think
Most
it's
likely
this
true.
one because I remember she says it's a piece of fabric, and that's memed all over the place. It's a
Oh
piece of
yeah.
fabric, and there's hems everywhere. Those two are just talked about all the time. Whenever a queen wears something bad, or they'll make something awful, people will say, "What? There's hems all over that," which I love.
I do think though that Derek did kind of get targeted a little bit,
Mm,
both by judges and by the other queens, and I also think the same for Chi Chi, just
yeah,
because I think at the time I think they kind of looked down at her,
Yeah.
very much so.
and like obviously audience is rooting for the whole thing because you can't be mad at that kind of positivity,
No,
and just I felt because there was one, it was the Wizard of Couture.
Wizards of Drag.
Wizards of Drag where they were like asking like who should go home, and like it was split like evenly down the middle
Mm-hmm.
between like Derek and Chi Chi, and just like this is just a feel bad.
Right, and they were mad that she was resting. But
Yeah,
she
that.
had her outfit done. Why would she need to keep doing things and pile more crap on if she feels good about what she made? Let her live her life. It wasn't, I feel like, as disrespectful as Tyra fully napping while everybody was practicing choreography.
Yeah.
I felt like that felt disrespectful because it's like,
other people
That's a
shine.
group effort right
Right.
there.
And if you
Yeah.
don't do well, you're going to make your group look bad, and you're safe. So
Yeah.
you are especially relying on your immunity, where Chi-Chi was like, I'm done. I can't do any more to this. I'm doing Dorothy. What, do you want me to pile on tons and tons and tons of stuff so that I look a mess? No. And so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, Derek really leaned into that villain role, didn't she?
A little bit, but I don't think it was necessarily intentional at
I
first. I
don't
think then
think so.
eventually, I think it just got to the point where like she was frustrated,
Yeah.
and when she comes back, she's trying so hard to be her realest self, and just is shamed for her art and for who she is. Like,
Yeah.
just she's a Britney impersonator. Like, you don't have to like constantly tell her week after week, like, let's have a little less Britney, little less Britney. You changed your hair. Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Right. And
It's
that's what they
just
cast her for, was to be Britney.
it just
Exactly.
felt bad though.
Yeah.
And I think they do that on purpose, and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely comes off that way, that it was intentional. And do you remember they talked about her in season 6? They reference her. They don't say her name, but Bianca references her when Trinity is saying that she wants to be Beyonce in Vegas. She goes, well, there's that Britney girl that hasn't been doing it that long. They were specifically talking about Derek.
I did not
Yeah,
all
I
know
remember that,
this.
but
Yeah.
I don't. I guess
Didn't
I
ever
just didn't know
clicked.
who Derek Barry was at the time, so I
Yeah.
never put two and two together.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So she had kind of been foreshadowed up until that point. But yeah, this is a fantastic season. We have a really dramatic moment with Cynthia, who found out that she had been, I think it was cancer, right? She had
Yeah.
a stage of
Yeah.
cancer that she had to get taken care of as soon as the show ended, and Acid Betty was there with her. And we even get to see Cynthia come back in a later season, which is
Yeah.
beautiful, and I absolutely love that. Cynthia starts out, and we'll get there when we talk about that season, but Cynthia starts a string of people coming back. Because Cynthia was in 8, she came back in 9. Eureka goes home in 9 and then comes back in 10. Vanjie started in 10 and then came back in 11. So it was this interesting little string that Cynthia set off, which I like. But yeah, we get to the end, and they do the all-star lip, or they do the lip syncs again. And these songs were so good for them. Legs,
Yes.
Fat Femination, and
Oh my
I Don't Like to
goodness.
Show Off. Those are so good, and I feel like you could listen to those and be like, that's Bob, that's Kim, that's Naomi, you know?
This season, I think I said it last week, or I guess technically 2 weeks ago, that I didn't really like that songs were like pointed at each queen and you wouldn't be able to recognize them. For this one, especially the Fat Feminine Asian for Kimchi, like
Yes.
that's such a targeted thing, so specific,
Yeah,
and it's the queer community doing it to itself.
yeah,
Again, I had mentioned, I think, like the toxic atmosphere that we can create in our own communities,
Mhm.
and having that addressed on national television, I think is
yes,
great and needed to be done.
yeah. Did Grin? You're obviously not on Grinder, Grin. I don't think you've ever been on Grinder.
I am not.
And they don't have it anymore. But back when I was first getting on Grinder, they had a racial preference filter.
Oh.
You could
Ew.
specifically, when you go to look, I don't know what Tinder or other like hookup apps look like, but on Grinder there is a thing at the top where you can filter out who you want to see. So you can choose your age, like I only want to see 21 to 30. I don't want any old people. And then you can filter out that you want them to be a certain preference, like you're looking for right this moment. And then they also there used to be a weight filter on there too,
Oh,
Ew.
that you could choose
gosh.
if you wanted them to be a certain weight. And then there was also a racial preference too. So you could look specifically for white people, or if you were fetishizing, you could look for a certain one.
Yeah.
And it was disgusting that it
There's-
was there. Disgusting. So it was a really important message that Drag Race, inadvertently, without targeting Grindr in particular, called it out and was like, this is a big part of culture right now. Why are we still saying that we have racial preferences or weight preferences in
Yeah.
public? So I'm really glad that Kim called that out. and they brought it up and made it such a big part of the culture, you know?
The way I understand it, it's just a digital dating problem as well, because
Yeah.
in like the realm of heterosexuality, they also say like no fat and butch.
Right.
But I think fat, femme, and Asian was and probably still is used so commonly
Yes.
that it was just like a trope. It was kind of just like a rejection of someone.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was no longer about preference. It was about gatekeeping in an entire community.
Yeah. Fully. There's I won't say what the phrase is because it's really gross, but and you could probably fill in the blanks. A very common thing when I was first on Grinder was putting in your bio no, and then you'd have two things that were food related items to say that you did not want Hispanics or Asian people in your DMs.
I hate
That was
this.
so common. It was all over the place. And so for Kim to come onto the show and say people have preferences and they'll say that they don't want to date me because I'm Asian or because I am not the average weight. That was so impactful to the culture. It got everybody talking about it because we all knew,
God.
all of us were aware that that was a thing, but nobody ever talked about it. We all just kind of
Very
kept
much
our
so.
mouths shut. Like, we see this injustice happening, but we're not going to say anything. And
Very
it
much
was
so.
so powerful of her to do it. And I'm glad that she did because it caused a lot of those places to change. I know Growler and Scruff and Grinder all started evaluating that. And it took like a year before they removed the racial preference from Grinder, but it got the ball rolling. And it was because of Kim, truly.
And it definitely wasn't like a like localized issue with just dating apps and such, because
Right.
like again, I haven't been on these and I knew about it like
Mm-hmm.
fully. It was like a cultural trope
Right.
that was just so like prevalent. Like
Yes.
if I was on Grinder and had all my things and people like someone bothered to message me like, "Are you interested?" I'd be like, "No."
Right.
Just to everyone, "No." And they'd be like, "Oh, well, I don't want you if you're fat, femme, Asian." It doesn't matter. No.
Right. I'm not interested.
I don't know why I'm on this. I'm on here just only for like the reading
It's
material.
for the memes.
It's for the memes. I'm just here for the memes. I'm here for the memes, the memes,
The memes. I live for the memes. Yes.
I'm so glad you both caught on to that.
Daisha doing that clapping like an airline attendant was freaking manic.
Oh my god, that was insanity.
Please take the left or the right aisles. But I got to see this finale live, and when I tell you, Violet coming out in that roach dress,
Oh my god.
we
What
all
was that like?
screamed. It like I can't explain to you the magneticism of everybody standing up and yelling at the same time. That energy of all of us collectively gasping, the air being sucked out of the room as we all breathed in and then exhaled out. It was incredible. So good, that look. And Violet stole the show. She's totally stole it. Whether she meant to or not, she stole it. And that was like,
You know,
that was
I
it.
was watching a like top 10 moments of season 8 video one
Mhm.
time, and they were like, we wanted to put Violet's finale look on this list, but this season isn't about her. And I was like, that is so true, because it was like a steal, like a show stealer.
It really was.
Like she really took, like you said, she took everyone's breath away.
She did. Ugh,
It was an incredible look. And it just shows like she still got it.
she
Still got
does.
it.
And she
Very
deserved
much
her
so.
win. Her win was valid.
Yeah.
So Bob wins the season. And I want to say I'm so glad that this is an all POC top 3. I don't think we've had an all POC
Yes.
top 3
I don't
since
think I
season
even
3.
realized that.
Yeah. Because in 3 we had Raja Manila and Alexis. And there was obviously not that in 4, 5, in 6, 7. Yeah, this is the first one
Basically
since
Drag
3.
Race.
Yeah,
They
basically
caught
Drag
themselves
Race.
finally.
Yeah, this is the first
Right.
time where it's all POC and it was all deserved. None of it felt like, they're trying to be kind or something or try to do things different. Like they all felt like they deserved it.
Very much that.
They were all incredible. Do we agree with Bob's win? For me, it's a big resounding yes.
For me, I really wanted Kimchi to win it, and I
Yeah.
really still think like that would have been suitable. But
Mm.
Bob also is very deserving of the win.
Yeah.
I think, like, with the track record in mind, it could have been Bob or Kimchi. Like, they were
Yeah.
both pretty evenly matched. Naomi, I would have loved to see her win, just
Mm.
have like another fashion queen, but
Yeah.
we couldn't, it's kind of hard to have that back to back as your winners.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
actually wasn't. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I wasn't actually the biggest fan of Naomi, just
Mm.
because I felt like, did she get less camera time by any chance? Because it feels like she was
Sh-
kept quiet, wasn't
She
really
was
focused on.
it seemed like she was a bit quiet in the season. When she comes back in a future season for All Stars, all of that is flipped around.
I do
Yeah.
remember the All Star, and I did love that. But in this
Yeah.
season, I just
She was very shy.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
shy and reserved and quiet. I always felt like Naomi was saying, I'm not just a fashion queen. I'm so much more than that. But the only challenge that she won was the Wizard of Drag, which she got praised on her fashion. And the one that they said that was the like biggest win for her, that they loved the outfit the most, was Raven's finale look that she recycled for the black and white. So I was like, I would have loved someone like Chi-Chi up there. Not that I'm shitting on Naomi
Yeah.
at all, but I would have loved to have seen Chi-Chi up there because she really was the underdog all season and she did so good.
Yeah. I mean, if we're
Yeah.
talking top 4, Chi-Chi was my top to win.
Yes.
But out of the
yes.
top 3, I was fully satisfied with our winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go and agree with that. I do also think, like, again, Chi-Chi I think was targeted a lot this season. I do think I would have loved to see Chi-Chi like go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Or have it at least be between Chi-Chi and Kim. But I'm okay with Bob winning. I think
Yeah.
it's well deserved.
It felt like Jinx, where it was like, she's got to win, to me. It was like Alaska could win, and Kim could win, but it's gotta be Bob, it's gotta be Jinx, you know? And I think they're, in my opinion, I think they're the two strongest winners in the franchise,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I would agree. And I mean, Bob had won so many mini challenges and maxi challenges that it was just hard to deny that she was the clear cut front runner for the season.
And she was there to have a good time, and you can tell that she had fun.
Yeah, and she had a good time.
Yeah.
Like, she succeeded at that.
Was Bob ever in the bottom?
Yes.
Yeah, Bob lip synced during the book ball.
Right, I had even
Against
talked about
Derek,
that.
I
I completely
think.
forgot about it, yeah.
It was against Derek. And that was a great lip sync. It was a great battle of the rivals that I enjoyed seeing. I thought that
Yeah.
was fun. I don't
It was a good one.
think Bob was in the bottom again. No, she was safe for
I'm-
top every other challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just impressive, I think.
Right?
It's always really impressive to see a winner with such a good track record.
Mm-hmm.
But Kimchi was actually never in the bottom.
Yeah, she never lip synced. She would have
just
gone
had
home.
one
Well,
less. She had one less win than Bob.
I think she had 2 bottom 3 placements: the Rusical and the advertisement challenge.
Advertisement.
The like
Oh, the political one.
the political advertisement
That
thing.
was
Oh
such a
no,
good
you're
one.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
I
She
love
was
the
just
political challenges.
She had some
She
bottom
was-
placements.
she was bottom 3, just never lip sync.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think she would have gone home if she did. So it was probably a good thing
Yeah.
that she didn't. Kim is a really conceptual lip syncer. There's one lip sync that I've seen of her where she's doing like a really emotional song and she's like cutting onions on stage so that it's like the reason why she's crying is because she's cutting the onions, not because the song is sad. And she does this one number with Trixie that's so funny. And it was actually a really funny foreshadow of what happened on the season because it was years before she got on. Her and Trixie do a double lip sync and they're both standing there at the end and it does the RuPaul, Vivian Panay, Honey Mahogany, I'm sending you both home. And her and Trixie are just like sobbing and walk off stage and the lights go down and it was so funny. She's like a very conceptual performer.
I love
She
that.
seems like she would be.
Yeah, she's fun. But getting to a wrap-up place, is there anything of this season that you think that was such an iconic moment or such a strange moment and anything that really stands out as a season 8 thing?
honestly, this season was kind of cookie cutter, but it was also shorter, so maybe they
Yeah.
had just less to work with.
Mm.
I guess maybe that's the surprising thing, is nothing big happened, good or bad, that sort of like completely shook
Yeah.
the season. Like, obviously we had things that were like added to queer culture
Mm-hmm.
through this, but it wasn't sort of like, for example, like Willem like being disqualified
Right.
for like a reason that was actually not true, sort of thing. And they're just all gasping.
Yeah. I think for me, the thing that stands out the most, in a weird way, is that weird. What did they call it? The shade
The shade tree
lounge or
room.
Yes.
shade tree
The
room.
shade
That
tree.
They
only
didn't
was
really
this
use
season.
that.
It was only Kim that used it, and it
It
was the
was,
weirdest
and
thing.
I think there's an all-star season, right, where Chi-Chi comes back and they have the shade tree room in that season, and I think Chi-Chi is the only one who uses it in that season as well.
No, I think it was only
I
this
re-
one. I think Chi-Chi used it once or twice in this.
I just only remember ever seeing Chi-Chi in there.
Yeah, I think Chi-Chi used it a couple times and Kim used it once or twice as well. And it was like such a
very
weird thing. It
strange.
was like, here's where you can do confessionals,
It's
but
something that
not.
should have been in the show from the beginning, but also
Right.
you have the interview confessionals with the queens already. So it
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of
I
it's
think
a
this
little redundant.
was.
Yeah.
I think this was more meant to be like for them to go when they're really angry and they don't have.
Oh, yeah,
They don't
like
want
a
to
vent
wait for an interview. They
session.
go to the shade tree and they're like, "I freaking hate whoever."
They do that in
And it's
Big
like,
Brother,
oh,
don't they?
They do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
But
think
then they
that's what they were
drop
trying to
it. They
mimic.
never do it again. It's just this
And
one
I'm
season.
glad. I didn't like it. It was so like just jarring.
Yeah, it
I
was.
I wish
Disjointing?
Just both.
I think
Both.
both. I wish that because it was such a flop, they just didn't even put it in the season
Right.
because it just confuses everyone,
Mhm.
really.
Very much that.
It should have just been edited out and
I
then had them
agree.
come back and post and be like, Kim, that thing you did in the Shade Tree Lounge, can you do that again for here?
Right.
We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. It was very odd, but yeah, that stood out to me. And then of course Kimono Gate standing out as such a wild
That was
That is
so
concept.
classic
funny.
season 8.
But thank you as always for being here and doing this with me. I really enjoy this season and the casting, and it was fun. It was fun to
Thank
to
you
go
for
through.
having us.
Of
Yeah,
course,
thank you
I
as
of course.
always.
love this season.
Yeah, it's so fun. So fun. But like Grin said, it was a little cookie cutter because it was a little short, but I still think it stands out as being a strong one.
Oh, definitely. Like, just because it's cookie cutter doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or
Right.
boring.
Exactly. We had such a good cast for
Very much that.
something that was a little more generic of a season. But thank you all for listening, and thank you for tuning in. Remember, you were doing a fantastic job, and you were doing the best that you can, and that is all that you can do. And we will talk to you very soon with yet another episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.